Did you know that conjoined twins Abby Hensel is now married to U.S. Army veteran Josh Bowling? Abby and Brittany. So Abby's married to Josh, but not Brittany.
Who and what?
Conjoined twins got married.
Oh.
But only one of them married the guy.
Oh.
How does that work? How do you want to start your podcast off talking about that?
Yeah. Will you tell us where you found that?
I found that on Wealth.
Conjoined twins married somebody, but they
No,
didn't both.
No. Abby Hensel of the Abby and Brittany Hensel conjoined twin combo married Army veteran Josh Bowling.
So one of them, they are two separate and distinct individuals made in the image of God.
2 heads, 1 body.
2 heads, 1 body.
I'm dead serious. That's what's on the picture.
So they're both, but only one of them's married.
Poor Brittany, man. I hope she finds someone.
Welcome to the Reconstructing Youth Ministry Podcast.
Am I supposed to watch this other message you sent me?
Man,
Am I supposed to watch this other one you sent me?
it's just a picture,
Oh, boy.
right? Isn't it a picture with a caption?
There's
About it's a
That's for another podcast episode right there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well,
Tyler, thank you for joining us. We are recording. This is live. It's happening right now.
and I'm giggling already.
This is going to be a
Most fun. Hey, most fun ever.
very fun.
Would you like to Never mind.
Would I like to what?
Never mind.
Tell me.
Abby and Brittany. Just
Abby and Brittany.
can't get over Abby and Brittany.
You're a kids director now, but you
Put some respect on my name.
kids minister.
Thank you.
My bad.
Thank
My
you.
point was that you're a PK.
I am.
What was it like growing up as a PK?
It was the best of times and the worst of times.
You were-
in the words of the other members of the church.
Now your dad wasn't a pastor the whole time. So like what ages?
My dad was a pastor from when I was like 2 or 4, 3, 4, like under 4,
Young.
under 4, like early enough that I don't remember it, till I was in 8th grade.
Okay. So
My
8th
dad.
grade, and then what was the transition there?
And then we moved to Texas, and my dad was always bivocational, so he
And for the people that don't know you, where did you live when you
lived
moved
in not Greenbow, but I lived in Alabama. And then we moved to Texas. My dad was an engineer as well as being a pastor. And so I worked at a company Monday through Friday, pastored a church on the weekends, big time country, small churches. Okay. And a lot of fish fries. That's why I don't like catfish.
That's why you don't like catfish to
I
this day.
still don't like, I love a hush puppy. But I don't like catfish. I was like, nope, too many fish fries. And moved to Texas, 8th grade. I graduated high school. My dad wasn't a pastor. We were good old members of a church.
Okay.
And then he got back into ministry actually full-time while I was a freshman in college.
Wow. What,
And he's been full-time ministry since then.
What is the
So I dodged the PK high school years.
That's what I was going to ask. What would
dodged
you
them.
say? What are the pros and cons of being a PK?
Everybody knows your business. It's a pro and a con. I didn't really look at it that way. It was good. It was good times.
Yeah.
I got a lot of candy. A lot of people sent me
I
presents.
got a lot of okay.
A lot of
It's like
people
just random.
People send you birthday cards for no reason.
Well, or that dude in church would just pull up with the mint unwrapped. Just
Nothing wrong with
Listen.
a good Werther's coming out of the front pocket of a 60-plus-year-old man.
just blow that lid off, that pocket lid off. Just it's good. It's still good.
Give me that after dinner, man. Hey, I've told you. I wish I could remember her name. One of my Sunday school teachers, she always brought us Tic Tacs when I was a little kid.
What kind?
Orange.
Oh, the best.
Always orange.
The best.
And that was the whole reason I loved Sunday school, because I got orange Tic Tacs every week.
Interesting.
And then Mr. Brazil. I moved to Mr. Brazil's class. He didn't bring us candy. I was kind of bummed about that.
Oh, interesting.
But
Are we seeing the psychology of what makes you like the fun kids minister?
orange mints.
Orange mints, orange Tic Tacs. When are
By
orange
the way-
Tic Tacs going to show up in?
You're shaking the table that you told me not
I'm
to
sorry.
touch. You told me,
Look at
may
me.
the record reflect YouTube world
You're behaving.
and where else this
YouTube.
lives in the Apple
I don't know
podcast.
where to put my hands. I'm like Anchorman. Anchorman. No, that's Talladega Nights.
Hey, you told me this was going to be 30 minutes, and we're 5 minutes in. We're still goofing off.
You know, that's us. That's us. I wanted this to
quote
be
Talladega Nights.
I did. I don't know what to do with my answer.
Where does this podcast rank on all the other ones?
Number 1.
Because if you ain't first.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Okay.
Okay, so seriously.
Yes,
so
good times. I enjoyed being a PK.
As a PK, did you go to camp growing up?
Every year, whether I wanted to or not. I got to go to other churches' camps.
Really? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Just because my parents told me I was. And I was like, okay. And I loved camp. We
so
talked
you
about
went to your church's camp.
We were talking about this the other day. I would
camps?
go. My grandpa was a pastor, full-time ministry, and so I would go to their church camp a lot of years.
Wow.
Random fact about me, Mark Cox. 5th grade, camper of the year at camper.
What made you a camper of the year?
Camper of the year at the what was the name of the camp? The something and another Free Will Baptist Association camp. I went with Red Bay Free Will Baptist Church. Your boy won camper of the year. Got a trophy. Put some respect on my name.
Is your trophy still around?
Probably at my house. My kids have
your
taken
house or your dad's?
My house. My kids have taken all my old trophies from like participation trophies, and they've like marked off they've taken the little thing off, and they just make their own trophies. I've been given a trophy for random things for my kids that are old trophies of mine, but I'll find it.
Which is great.
It's a big cross. I remember it was about this tall. If you can't see,
get that trophy.
About 15 inches tall. So what you won, you got to come up in front of everyone because this is what camp's about. You got to come up in front of everyone and be exhorted as the camper of the year. Okay. You're given a trophy and you got free registration the following year.
Whoa!
Free registration saved you $100.
Yeah. Boy, remember the days when camp cost $100?
Back when camp was only $100. We don't do camp that way anymore. We don't recognize the camper of the year. But maybe we should. Maybe we should. Just
what do you think?
You know what I remember most from that year of camp is that we played broom ball, and I just raked. I just raked, dude. No one could stop me in broom ball.
Broom ball's great.
Yeah,
I'm bringing it back.
Man, it was so good. Just that, the great thing about camp back in the good old days, and not really, but really, was that basically camp was a non-air conditioned large tabernacle type room, a couple of giant dorms with bathrooms that were modest at best, a lot of crickets. I remember the camp I grew up going to had a water fountain that wasn't grounded correctly. And if you press the button to get water, it would shock you if you didn't press the button. So you wouldn't press if you didn't press the button right, it would like give you a little mild electrical shock. So we were all dehydrated. Basically the activities consisted of, here's a bucket of balls, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's all it was.
We've come a long way.
Did you go to camps again?
Yeah.
Was it about the same?
So I grew up, I'll say this. My camp experience was more like high school because I really didn't care about church or my faith. I've kind of talked about this until then. And so there was a camp that my parents made me go to. Fun fact about me, I am the quintessential like nervous kid. And so if there was something kind of, or like the day, so I would always get really car sick in the car when you travel. We traveled a lot, but I would just always get car sick. And so like getting on the bus, I was always really nervous about the fact that I knew I was going to get sick. So I got like pre-sick. And I remember there was one of these camps, I want to say it was when we lived in Alabama.
Good old Alabama camps.
Yeah, so we both had the Alabama tie. I lived in Montgomery. You lived in
Vernon.
That's
what's wrong with both of us.
Right.
Shout out to all of our Alabama followers.
Yeah. So, but I would just get really nervous. I get really nervous about social settings. I'd get really nervous about like wondering, and we didn't call it anxiety back then. We just, it's just get over it.
Yeah.
Is what
it was
what I was told.
Weakness leaving the body.
So weakness leaving the body. But when I went to, when we moved to Indiana, we got connected in a great church, and then I got saved as a high schooler, and I would go to camp because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And we went to a camp called Woodlands Camp in Cleveland, Georgia.
Sounds nice.
It's fantastic.
Sounds real nice.
It's a great camp. They've grown a lot since then.
Did you have a pool?
We had a lake. We had a lake with a blob.
Even better than
yeah.
I never witnessed a blob until I worked at Pine Cove Christian Camps.
Oh wow!
I'd never seen one in my life, and I was like, "What?" I saw it on the movie Camp Heavyweights. Great movie, great movie. Everyone, if you've never seen it, go watch it right now.
Fantastic.
Ben Stiller's greatest role.
Yeah. Greatest role. So we have a blob at our current camp that we go to with middle schoolers, at Camp Eagle out in Hill Country, and which we did, for legal reasons. All this is imaginary and made up, but we definitely had one of our bigger middle school students blob my then first grade son.
It was your
Cohen.
kid, so it's okay.
Yeah, he flew like an eagle.
I blobbed my daughter once my youngest son at a family camp.
Yeah.
And it was epic. He held a GoPro when he did it, and it made the video at the end of the week.
It has to.
He was like full somersaulting. It was glorious.
Somewhere, if you go look at our YouTube channel, you can probably find
what's the name of that channel?
The Hub Sienna on YouTube.
Go follow it. He's trying to get to 100 followers.
I appreciate it. It's been a long road,
longest steady climb.
But that was the end. Blobbing Cohen was the last clip in the video. Okay, so today we love camp.
Love it.
At our church,
Best
we're going to run
ever.
camps. For elementary age kids.
Yep.
You've got your day camp that you've got, Pine Cove comes in and runs that, which is amazing.
Yep, great
And then
week.
you take your preteens to a camp. It's an overnight camp.
Yep.
And so that's
Put some respect on the name. What's it called?
Preteen camp?
No, but what's the name of the town?
Oh, Waxahachie.
Waxahachie,
Not
Texas.
Wax, it's
No,
Wax.
it's Wax. We go to
Waxahachie.
Waxahachie. What if we could get Meat Church to sponsor this podcast?
That's
That would be great.
Pittman, we're ready.
Matt Pittman, shout out.
I did go visit. We picked up Caden from Camp West, and then I went straight to the town square.
We have gotten off topic already.
Yeah,
We're talking about barbecue.
Really solid about that. We'll talk about barbecue later. And then when we move into middle school, we take our students to a camp in Hill Country called Camp Eagle, and then we take our high school students to Panama City to do kind of a half mission trip.
Love the Redneck
called
Riviera.
Rush Week. Oh yeah, and so we have obviously like a heart for camp. Here's what I want. Here's the one thing that I want is if you were to have dinner with a family, it says, you know what, we've never done camp. My kid probably is a little nervous, or we're nervous, or overnights or kind of can be funny. Like, what is your value for camp? Like, why camp?
Yeah. Well, if you want my elevator pitch, it's like, hey, we're going to introduce your kids to deodorant if you haven't already. Because
That's a sneaky, very important part of camp.
I walk in those dorms with the boys every year, and I'm like, boys, this is deodorant. You will wear it this week, whether you want to or not. Yeah. Love camp. I think camp really kind of falls into three categories for me. It's this opportunity. Well, the big picture is it's an opportunity for growth for kids. Like it's no matter what age, it's like, hey, this is a great opportunity for growth. And it really kind of falls into three categories of spiritual growth, social growth, and emotional growth. So emotional, social, and spiritual growth. And so it's just an opportunity for kids. I think in a society today where kids are, you and I talk about this all the time, like it's the entertain me now. It's the where's the screen? Give me 5 minutes to be entertained. And be done and move on to the next thing. It's one time for those kids to maybe perhaps unplug and let's just do something a little different. Yeah. Let's get outside with the ball. Like I look back so fondly, like from when I went to camp. I mean, even when I went to high school camp, like it was in the Hill Country on a river. And I don't remember. I'm sure they had activities that were awesome, but you know what I remember most is two things: floating the river with my friends, which was just a blast. Like freezing cold Frio River. I remember throwing the baseball with my youth minister every year. Like it was like the thing that we did. He was played baseball in college, and he would always bring his baseball, and we'd just see how hard he could throw the ball at me, and he'd still catch it. And I loved it because I was a high school guy and wanted to prove my worth. And so it's just this opportunity for connection, both with the Lord, but also with friends, but also maybe detaching a little bit from mom and dad, And so when I sit down with a family that maybe says, well, we don't really do overnights, we don't do camps. Right. My first question is always, well, why not? Explain to me why. And
what do you think are some of those reasons that they do?
I think I don't want to discredit them because I think a lot of people have very valid reasons. Unfortunately, it's the society we live in today. Yeah, there's a lot of things, stories that come back from camps and those kind of things of unfortunately just very, very terrible things that have happened sometimes at camps. And so that's where I tell them, like, sometimes it becomes why don't you come with us or come see it? Yeah. We take who we take very seriously. I know you and I both do. We have a very big vetting process, and
we take volunteers that are in our ministries, people that are Sundays, Wednesdays.
We're people who are fully invested in what we're doing. But I think even more so than that, I think there's a lot of times there's just this uneasiness. And you and I have joked about it a lot that we're told, oh, my kid's nervous about going. And I always, what's my joke is always like, is the kid nervous?
Or are you nervous?
Or are you nervous, Mama Bear or Dad? And so how do we overcome those obstacles of being nervous about that? And so, what I like here at Houston's First, you and I have, and with the help of all of our other campuses, we kind of created this cool model of, we've got day camp opportunity with Pine Cove Christian Camps where it's just, the kids go there for a day. And that's for, kids that have finished kindergarten all the way up to kids going into 6th grade. But let's be honest, it's geared for my younger kids. So that's just get away for the day, give mom and dad a little quick break. And then we move up to our preteen camp, which is our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And that's, 3 nights. We can handle 3 nights. And then we move to, what you guys are doing with the Hub Student Ministry, where it's a little bit longer and we keep seeing the growth opportunity. And I think telling families, like, just jump in no matter where you are. Let's look at this and what's the next step. And, we could talk. I think both of us could talk for days on the spiritual opportunities for kids. I mean, I became a follower of Jesus at a camp. Same camp where I won Camper of the Year. It was just a few years earlier, but same location. I look back very fondly on that big. It was like the old school cafeteria that you also had the worship center in. I don't even know if we called it worship center. It was small. It was middle of nowhere, Alabama.
Cafetorium.
It was a cafetorium. But I mean, that's where I became a Christian at camp. And I remember going and telling my mom and dad afterwards, like, hey, I became a Christian this week. And so I've always looked at it so fondly. So there's this amazing opportunity for spiritual growth. When we, Jesus went away. I think if Jesus did it, we can all kind of say, well, maybe if it's good enough for Jesus, maybe we should try it. But even more, aside from that, just this opportunity for emotional growth for a kid and social growth. And I mean, how have you seen? I mean, you see kids connect in ways they've never connected before.
Well, and I think there's something about, you could probably say, well, the Lord just moves at camp. I think it's a lot more practical than that. I think there's actually some strategy behind it. You get a group of people who are doing church together, throughout the rest of the year, but especially like get them away from their devices, their phones, right? Their kind of normal rhythms. Then you take them away from their normal rhythms, which always freaks them out. I remember I had a kid say, but I'm bringing my phone. Like what? Like surely there's Wi-Fi. And I said, there's Wi-Fi in a couple bit. So the camp
we have Hope 2 Wi-Fi,
right? We have our middle school camp that we take, and it's in the hill country. There is no cell service. You need a sat phone if you're going to get, and then there's certain buildings that have Wi-Fi, and I love that because it's like, if you bring it, it's just a brick. But we just say like, just don't bring it. Like have some time to socialize. And then there's that strategy of getting us out of our rhythms with other like-minded believers, and then we just focus. And there's something about you're outside of your rhythms. You're with other people. You're focusing on the Lord for that's where I think people say, well, the Lord moves at camp, and I'm thinking, you're
just more aware.
And maybe the Lord would move more if we did break away from our rhythms here, and we just said, hey, it's no cell phone week or whatever. I know that's incredibly difficult and it's a big ask, but that's what I think is important about camp, and if we take it seriously. And the other thing that you were talking about, the progression. So there's a steady growth. We have our Pine Cove, right, where it's kind of a day camp thing. We got preteen camp, which is a 3-night. We've got Camp Rush, where we take our middle schoolers, and we're also growing their kind of knowledge and experience with missions. We're a very missions-minded church, and so we always attach missions to our camp kind of environments and things like that. But here's what I love about our camps is that no matter where you're starting, if you're starting at the highest level with Rush Week with high schoolers, it's just
phenomenal week.
It's a first step for them too. So if you got a kid that's never been to camp, man, we're gonna have an incredible time. It's gonna be great. It's not gonna be like over their head, as far as their knowledge base or we want all of our kids to experience that.
Well, when you say though. And I think when you talk to parents, every kid has this question in their mind of, am I good enough? Can I do it? And so I think as ministry leaders and then as parents, our job is how do we give our kids opportunities to test that? Like, hey, am I good enough? Or can I do it? And so camp is just such a great opportunity. For some kids, can I do this? Am I strong enough? Do I have it in me? Is just not being with mom and dad for 3 days. Like that's the win, is that we come back and go, you did it. And, knock on wood, I was trying the other day, trying to count the number of weeks of camp I've done in my life. But I've never remember coming back from a camp with some kids and the kid going like, that was the worst. I'm never doing that again. Like I couldn't handle it. It was always like, Mom, Dad, look what happened. For other kids, it might that answering that question, am I good enough? Can I do it? Do I have it in me? And maybe it's, we do these, there's, it's the rock climbing at Camp Rush, or it's the, it's can I be a part of a team and do this like different, this team building opportunity that we have. It's, or even just something as simple as we're playing pickup basketball with a group of boys, or let's be honest, it's not pickup basketball, it's gaga ball.
Yeah.
And I was the king of the gaga ball pit. And so I love seeing the kids because they're in a different setting that they're normally in with their peers. And it's like, man, can I do it?
Yeah.
Do I have this in me? And I just love seeing kids at the end of the week talk about like, man, I didn't think I was brave enough or I had enough courage to do that. And I did it.
Yeah.
Having been a part of like your high school, Rush Week, having a kid say, I didn't think I was mature enough to like have a gospel conversation with someone, but I did it. And you're like, that's incredible. And so that's where that like emotional, social connection and like growth comes, because these kids are realizing, man, there's a lot more to me than I realized.
Yeah.
And I think as ministry leaders and as parents, it's our job to give our kids opportunities for those growth opportunities within a safe boundary.
Yeah.
We're not just unleashing them on the streets to
Right.
go, can you do that? And we're not just taking them to the wild and dropping them off and saying, hey, we're going to be 20 miles down the road, come find us. We're taking them, what seems like to them a huge monumental thing that we're asking them to try. But in reality, it's all within these, there's a safety net behind us to catch them if they do fail. And so when they do, maybe, I've taken kids to camp. They're like, man, I just don't think I can not talk to my mom. I'm like, great, we'll call mom each day. At this exact time, we're going to call mom and dad. And we're going to check in. And what's funny is I remember one kid, we did the first check-in. The first day, like he was waiting, like, oh, I got to call mom. It's 4:00. I got to call mom. I'm like, boom, we call mom. Mom's great. He's great. Everybody's good. The next day I have to remind him. I'm like, hey, we're going to call mom. Yo, yeah, I need to do that real quick. By the third day, mom's texting me and I'm like, so here's the deal. He has expressed no interest in calling you.
Yeah.
I love you to death, but I'm just going to wait till he says something.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, he's doing great.
Yeah.
And by the time we got back, mom was even telling me like, so maybe that was more on me than him.
Yeah.
But it's just cool seeing that kid go, oh yeah, I was fine. I made it.
I would love for more parents to be able to share those stories, because it seems like what happens at camp is there's a developmental thing that happens too with some of our kids that do need to kind of take that step out and experience something. I mean, all transparency, I've got my youngest going to preteen camp this year, and I was talking with my wife Christy, and I was like, man, I think he's got some nerves about going that he's probably not going to express until he sees that bus pull up and it's that day. And
we going there?
Are we going? Can I back out? And if I could just lovingly tell parents, man, it is something you should encourage your kids to do. And I know that we live in a society where we're kind of, quote unquote, letting our kids decide what they do and what they don't do. And I'm not saying force, something that they're like absolutely can't, but there's a good chance that if you get your kid across that finish line, that they're going to be so much better for it. So, well, you've got kids going to what, four different camps?
I will have a kid at all the camps that our church is doing this year.
This summer.
I'm also independently wealthy. I'm joking. Shout out to Houston's First Missions that helps offset all cost.
That's it. Yeah.
Little sidebar. Never let money be the reason you can't go to camp at Houston's First. Man,
Yeah.
we love helping people pay for camp and figuring out ways to make it happen.
Yeah.
Man, I love being a part of church that just says like, hey, we want kids to be at camp, so we're going to do whatever we can. But yes, I will have kids at all 4 of those camps this summer, and it's going to be great.
So Eli, your oldest, has been at every one of those camps. Did Eli go to preteen? Were we doing preteen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went to it one year.
So what are so he's going to his first year at Rush Week this summer.
First time.
What are some of your hopes for even the different age kids at the different camps that they're going to?
So I think so Isaac, this will be his second time at Camp Rush.
Yep.
So last year was, I think for him, it was kind of the like, what's this new thing? But he's my outdoorsy kid too, and he loves that. So I think he's already talking about some of the different activities y'all do and the things. I think y'all got a cool progression of there's different activities they get to experience. Eli is, well, funny enough, the first thing he mentions about Rush Week is not anything other than we're going to be at the beach and I get to go look in the water and look for fish.
Yeah.
And try to catch. And he's got a good buddy that's moving back to the States from Japan that's going to be going to with him. And so he is ecstatic about that. But I think for me, my hope for him, knowing the missions element, like it's about 50% camp, 50% mission trip, with Rush Week is just having an opportunity to go serve. And the great thing about the way y'all do Rush Week is that you can take a kid who has never done a mission trip, never done camp, never done anything, but they get excited about this opportunity to serve others. And so, kind of going, maybe I'd love to see him take on some leadership opportunities as like, hey, how can I step up and maybe, help up here that's maybe down or something. And, just kind of hearing how the Lord uses him in those ways, but also just, hey man, how was the beach?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I know he loves the beach. So I'm excited about that. And then for Judah, this will be Judah's last year at preteen camp. He's had the same counselor every year.
Wow.
Case in White we're going to build a monument to him for having my kid and your kid pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And so I think he's excited to be the oldest, to kind of like, hey, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And all that. And then Hattie will be at Pine Cove. This will be her, however many years at Pine Cove. So she'll be at preteen camp next year. So she's counting down the days till she gets to go to overnight camp.
Have they all been on a family mission trip with you?
Yep. Yeah, we've all done family mission trips. We've also all done family camp before. And if that's I would say for a family that's maybe like, we just don't do camp. We don't send our kids camp. We don't do any kind of camp. I would highly encourage you to find a family camp. And we can.
It's a good first step.
Yeah. Like just go do that, because that gives the kids, some of my favorite trips we did as our family, the Scott family, was when we did family camp. We went up to Michigan to camp my brother used to work at. And, man, it was an absolute – that's where I blobbed Judah and watched him somersault. If you ever want to go to a great camp, go to Michigan in the summer, because it's not hot as heck.
Yeah.
I know you –
also never go to Michigan. Because
it's pretty hard to meet. Go Lake Ministries.
Fall off into the ocean.
Go do it.
For all I care. Fall off the Buckeye fan here.
Wouldn't it like fall off into a Great Lake?
Yeah. All of them. Just absorb. Yeah.
I liked it better than Ohio.
Take it back.
I don't think I've ever been to Ohio.
I'll take you.
Don't y'all put like chili on your spaghetti?
Is that Cincinnati?
Is that not a part of Ohio? Is that kind of like Beaumont in Texas? We don't include it?
Yeah, the metropolitan.
Beaumont, that's Western Louisiana.
Yeah. There's just as many crawfish. Yeah. So, Cincinnati and Columbus, for example, or even Cleveland for
What's
that matter.
Columbus? Never heard of it. Is it famous?
The worst. It's named after Christopher Columbus.
Really?
Weirdly enough.
Weird? Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because he spent a lot of time there?
Yeah. He's just a real big Buckeye fan. No, I mean, it's just different cultures like Dallas and Houston. So Cincinnati, all that.
One's clearly better than the other?
Down there. That chili, the Cincinnati Skyline chili is not good.
That's what it's called, Skyline.
Yeah. It's not good.
You're not the first person to tell me that.
What?
You know what is good? Camp food.
Thank you. There's a segue.
Camp food, because parents are always like, what is my kid going to eat? And I'm like, what is your kid eating at home right now during the summer? Probably the same things.
And mac and cheese.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, we go to great camps. We were joking about the camps that you and I grew up, well, at least the one I grew up going to. I don't remember the food being memorable, so I guess that's a good thing. We go to really nice camps
for a bad reason.
At least preteen camp, man, the food is incredible.
Oh yeah.
Like they meet all the dietary needs. Like we got a kid that has a special special diet. They cook them their own individual meals. They take care of all that stuff. The kids always make not jokes. They always comment about how good the food is. Our preteen camp even has a waffle. You can go make your own homemade waffles with Texas shape waffles, Mark.
That's special.
That's how bougie preteen camp. Preteen camp is right there.
We when we go to Rush Week, we our friend Roy. That's his
Roy.
whole job.
Roy is the
week
man.
He's setting up food for us.
Yeah.
So we're doing breakfast, and we're doing breakfast in our condos. We're packing a brown bag lunch for mission sites, but then we come home and he's got dinner set up for us, and it's dude, and you're starving at camp. so it really, even if it was
not
bad,
the children, Mark and Tyler, not the children. The children not starving
bad,
parents.
We would crush it, but man, we eat good at our camps. Yeah,
a lot of snacks too.
Well,
yeah, parents, I get that sometimes. They're just kind of like, what's my kid going to eat? And I'm like, they're going to be fine. Yeah. They're going to be great. There's plenty. Even our leaders always comment on like, I feel like all we've done this week is eat. And I'm like, well, we're a Baptist church, so we take it very seriously.
We call it fellowship.
We call it fellowship, not gluttony. And it's good times.
Well, if you have any questions, if you're a member, if you attend Houston's First Baptist Church, and if you got questions about camp, we're wide open. I mean, that's why we're here, is to help that whole. So if you've got a kid in elementary, first through fifth grade, currently, right, where this is May of 2024, then they're going to go to either they're going to go to preteen camp as a third to fifth grader. When's the deadline on that? Because I guess it's probably pretty late. You guys are going in August.
Yep, August 1st through 4th.
So they could probably sign up.
Yeah, they can sign up in May and into June.
June. Okay.
As long as it's not full, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And the great thing, at least for preteen camp, I don't want to speak for you, is like, man, if you have a kid that's like, they're like, I can't go without taking a friend.
Yeah.
We love when friends come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I think last year we took about 100 kids to preteen camp just from our campus. And we joined up with the other campuses, about 450 people total, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That sounds like a right number. And it was an absolute blast. So we had, we love when kids, you don't have to be a member of Houston's First to go to our camps.
Yeah.
We love when kids from other camps and other churches want to go, or if you've got a friend who's maybe they're family down the street and they're like, man, we don't even know if they're really into this church thing. Yeah. Like, great, bring them to camp. It's a great, they're going to be taken care of, and who knows what the Lord might do.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Tyler.
Got any more jokes?
What's your favorite barbecue joint in Houston?
Ooh, Truth
Barbecue.
I think so.
What's your favorite Tex-Mex? We always get back to food.
Tex-Mex. Dude, there's a place in the Heights called Teotihuacan. It's not Tex-Mex though. That's like legit Mexican.
It's
food.
like authentic Mexican.
Like the whole menu's in. I need to go see if it's still there. And if I was gonna go get some right now, I'd just go to Lupe and get the soft chicken tacos. They're enchiladas, basically. We've talked about that. I make my own. If you make your own fajitas at home, the food that takes a long time to make, you go get
enchiladas
at the restaurant.
Yeah.
We need to go to Texas to Tornado Taco. We haven't been in a while.
Can we go right now?
Let's shut this thing down.
Okay. All right.
Go get some barbecue.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us.